Hi guys, thanks so much for watching. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to do a makeup brush guide, specifically for beginners, people who aren't that into makeup, but people who just want to know how to apply the products they use on an everyday basis and what kind of makeup brushes they need. So I was inspired to make this video because I have a lot of friends that aren't that into makeup. A lot of them just have a few products and they want to know what kinds of makeup brushes they should be using to apply them, and also just the styles of makeup brushes that they need for an everyday look. So in today's video, I don't want to get too into fiber content or brand. I think fiber content is really more of a personal preference thing, but I will share with you guys the fiber contents that I like for certain things. Plus, I don't want anyone thinking they have to have really expensive makeup brushes in order for them to be good. That definitely is not true. In fact, a lot of the makeup brushes that I use every day are really affordable, so I plan on having a bunch of options for you guys in the down bar, a bunch of links for a bunch of different really good affordable brushes that I recommend. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in and get started. So there's two different tools I recommend for foundation. The first is a foundation brush that's really dense, sort of like this one. It is an IT Cosmetics exclusively for Ulta brush. It is a little pricey, so I will have a Real Techniques brush in the down bar as an option as well, which I think is awesome. And then the other way is with a blending sponge. I know it looks really dirty, I swear it's not. Real Techniques is who this one is by, and I'm obsessed with this. I think it's really awesome. The Beauty Blender is like the original blending sponge. That one's way pricier than this. I mean, I can probably get like 3 of these for the price of one of those. Plus, it's so much softer and it has a flat side and a pointed side, so I think the Real Techniques one is way better in my opinion. When I use this, I just put the foundation on my face and I kind of stipple it in like this. And then for my concealer, I like to use the pointier side, but I also think it's more of a personal preference thing. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I use this. I really enjoy them both. I do think that a foundation brush is faster. When I use this, I like to buff the foundation into my skin, and then in areas where I need fuller coverage, I just like stipple over it. So a foundation brush is faster. I think the finish is a little nicer from a blending sponge, and it does have to be slightly damp. I know a lot of people know that, a lot of people still don't. Whenever you use these, you have to run it under water and then like squeeze the water out of it. Sometimes I squeeze it in a towel a few times just so it's like slightly damp and isn't too wet, so I really like the two of these. So next I want to talk about some powder brushes. If you're the kind of person who likes to wear powder foundation, I think a brush that is really dense is definitely ideal for powder foundation, something that's really soft. When I apply powder foundation, I do like to buff it in a little, but I also do like a stippling motion as well, kind of like 50-50, and I will have a link for this down below. It is an IT Cosmetics brush, again for Ulta, a little pricey, so I will have some affordable ones as well. Now, if you like to wear a translucent powder, like a setting powder, then I recommend a brush like this. It is a duo fiber brush from Real Techniques, which I love. I use this every day for translucent powder. It is a little foundation-y colored because I apply translucent powder as soon as I put on foundation, so a little bit of foundation is on there. But I think something that is a little fluffier, isn't super dense, is ideal for translucent powder, and something that is pretty dense is ideal for powder foundation. So next is bronzer. I wanted to show you guys a few different options that I recommend for bronzer, but overall I definitely recommend an angled brush, as you can tell. I think an angled brush is definitely ideal for bronzer because, one, if you like a contour, then obviously an angled brush is best. Also, I see a lot of people with really big fluffy brushes for bronzer, which makes it a little more muddy looking on your skin. It looks a little less natural. And also, I think we tend to apply a little too much with a really big fluffy powder brush just because it picks up so much more product. So the one that I use the most for bronzer is actually this Sephora one. It's really old. It's like a travel size, and I believe this is all a natural hair brush. And it isn't super dense like this one, but it isn't really fluffy like this one, so it picks up a good amount of product, and it is, I would say, the same size as this one, so I don't feel like I'm applying it too broadly. I like to first apply it in my contour and sort of blend it out just a little bit. I feel like I have a lot of control with a smaller medium density brush. The next I recommend for someone who wants to experiment with a strong contour. Personally, I don't ever wear a strong contour. It's just not really my thing, but I know a lot of people really like to experiment with that. So I think that this sculpting brush from Real Techniques is great for someone who's kind of starting out and experimenting with contouring for the first time, just because it's very affordable. I think it's really easy to use, and that's just awesome for a strong contour. And the last brush is the B78 from Morphe. This one is a lot fluffier, so I don't really use this on a day-to-day basis for bronzer, just because I like something a little more dense, but that isn't super dense like this one. So that again is just like a personal preference thing. But overall for bronzer, I recommend an angled brush that is medium density and something that isn't too wide. I just think it's easier to use, you won't over apply, and I just think it looks a little more natural. So next is blush. There are two different types of brushes I recommend for blush. The first is an angled brush like this. It's super fluffy. It's definitely way less dense than a bronzer brush. And this is honestly really old. I don't know where I got it, but I do know of a lot of similar affordable brushes, so I will have some links for those down below. The next brush is the B47 by Morphe. It looks like this. This one is very affordable, and I think this is good for someone who has a little more control. I think the smaller the brush, the more control that you have. Personally, I do like to use a brush like this more, just because I feel like I have way more control since it's smaller, and I think an angled brush is a lot easier to work with since your cheek is like an angle, you know? So I like a brush like this more, but I will have some options for both of these in the down bar. So for eyeshadow, I really think you only need like 3 styles of brushes, honestly. Dome-shaped fluffy brushes that are a natural hair, typically goat hair, sometimes pony hair, are definitely ideal for eyeshadow brushes. I think medium size for all over the lid, and then a small one for like highlighting on the inner corner, highlighting the brow bone, are definitely ideal. My crease brush I obviously will use for the crease. This is also a natural hair brush. Something that is a little fluffier is definitely ideal. That way you won't pick up too much product and it won't be too hard to blend out that way. But I do pull for these ones a lot just because they are natural haired brushes, so they're really soft, and I definitely want to use softer brushes on my eyes just because they are a little more sensitive. And all of these are from Sephora, so I will have a link for these down below, but I will have some more affordable options as well. So that's all for my brush guide. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little vague, but I didn't want to get too into fiber content. I think that's such a personal preference. I really just wanted to share with you guys the style of brushes I think you need for an everyday makeup look. So I really hope you enjoyed. Please thumbs up if you do. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!